question.
Me and my buddy, we making all of this money. Yeah, I know it's rude to be bragging. They never catching us slacking. Me and my buddy.
Welcome back, guys. Table One Podcast. Co-host Art Parman, other co-host Justin Young, and very special guest Steve Zolotow. Before we get into all this stuff, I just want to say for everybody, this is very exciting to me. Like we don't get a whole lot of old school gamblers on here, and I really hope the listeners like follow through. I know like
Let me interject that if this is very exciting for you, you lead a very dull life.
Hey man, poker is our life. So
yeah, exactly. I don't know. I was a poker nerd before I was a poker player, and as a poker nerd, like all the guys, the legends I heard about before I became one were, I don't know, they were my heroes in the game. So
Hold on,
you know.
did you just say you became a legend?
No,
I said all the legends before me before I became one.
I mean, I'm a legend in my own mind.
Oh, you meant before you became a poker player.
Yeah, before I was
get
a
it.
poker player. One day I'll be a legend, probably after I'm dead.
Right
Okay.
after this podcast.
So normally, I know you've seen probably every one of our episodes, but let's assume you haven't. We kind of take the viewership back to when you were a little eagle, an eaglet, I believe is what we decided, a flesh
Fledgling.
Okay.
yeah, one of those, and how you kind of decided to get into something of an outlier instead of doing something a little bit more productive, I suppose.
Well, my parents were both writers. That was why I asked if you had children. My mother was a children's book writer, so I thought I was going to bring, if you had like an 8-year-old or a 6-year-old or something, I would have brought you one of her books. And my father mostly wrote theatrical biographies. He wrote the first serious Marilyn Monroe biography, John Wayne, a bunch of famous people, and he wrote for Saturday Evening Post for years. He also loved games, even though he was very non-mathematical, and he got me into playing checkers, chess, bridge, poker, gin, canasta, casino, all the easy to learn games are relatively easy to learn games. So probably by the time I was 6, 7, I was playing a whole bunch of games. The first 5 years were wasted, but after that, I've been pretty much focused on games.
So were you just playing with your family? Was it kind of, did you guys have a game night?
Well, I played with my father. We played bridge in a small stake bridge game with a couple of neighbors, and it's a cut around game, so you switch partners every rubber. And I don't know, to them the money was meaningless, but as a kid, if you could make an extra $10 a night, that always seemed like a lot. And
Your dad didn't back you?
nobody backed me. And
Wow.
at one point, according to family legend, we're playing at like 4 in the morning, and my mother comes storming downstairs and shouts out, "You can't keep this child up all night. Tomorrow is a school day. What are you doing?" And my father said, "We're not letting him quit now. He's winning."
I like your dad already.
And, so that was how I got into games. And I also wanted really to be an actor, but I loved playing games. So as the course of my career or my life had belonged, I was born in Manhattan. My family moved to Westchester, but I was coming back into Manhattan to study acting. I did a short play at the Actors Studio at a workshop. I was the white lead, and the black lead went on to mediocre fame, I guess.
Emma, you want to shoot?
Glenn Turner, he was in a bunch of movies, and he was married to some famous female singer. So
That could have been you. You're black.
if I was black, or I could have. Then I started at Columbia. I wanted to stay in the city to study acting and act. And then I dropped out the acting in theory, although maybe it was more drugs and gambling and partying and whatever.
Yeah.
And I couldn't support myself acting,
Give me this.
not surprisingly. And as I demonstrated getting here, I'm a New Yorker and I don't drive, so I wasn't going to drive a
Put
taxi.
your hand down.
I certainly wasn't going to be a bartender because I already had a drinking problem, so that was not a good solution.
Terrible.
So I ended up finding a small stake poker games and bridge games and trying to support myself in those.
Okay. I read when I was doing my research for this that you or possibly Eric Seidel introduced poker to the Mayfair Club.
Probably, but that's many years
That's
down
many
the road.
years later.
Oh yeah, come on. We have so much to get
Sorry,
to.
I don't know how old
Yeah.
you have to be to get into the Mayfair Club.
Okay, no, but let me.
Okay, want to do it again?
I don't know. There's so many overlapping histories, but the Mayfair Club was a bridge club, I think going back to the 30s and maybe longer. I first started going there. It was purely a bridge club where they played a little bit of gin. At this point, we can backtrack to this. Remember this stage in the story, because that's where I first met Stu Unger. So the first Stu Unger meeting, they come in there.
Oh, we're talking about him.
Bridge
Yeah.
club,
No more.
where we play a little
You
bit
win?
of gin, if you want. Then people started playing bridge club, where you play a little bit of gin and a little bit of backgammon. Then it became, and I should say, as a bridge club, it had some of the best bridge players in the world and best bridge theorists. Then it became a backgammon and bridge club, and it had absolutely the best backgammon players in the world. If you were a Mayfair winning backgammon player, there was nobody in the world you were scared of who you didn't know, because we were so far ahead of everybody. Really, the late Paul McGreal was the theorist behind X22. I'll throw in one good story while we're on him, which is he was the worst gambler in the world and a great math and theory guy. And he was always broke, and I was always lending him money. And at one point, I think we were in Vegas by then, he came up and he said, I need to borrow $600. And I said, $600? You already owe me, and whatever. And, I was hoping I could cut it down to two. I knew I was going to give him something, but I was trying to lower the bar a little bit. And he said, no, if I don't get $600, they're going to cut my cocks off. I said, how many do you have?